What's up YouTube? It's Ben, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do if your client does not pay you. All right, guys. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Nader. I talk about entrepreneurship, business, software, investing, real estate, entrepreneurship, pretty much everything in between. If you like that kind of stuff, definitely subscribe to the channel, and we'll dive right into if your client does not pay you, what do you do? All right, so check it out. The first thing that you need to do if your client goes past the due date in recruiting and on your contract, you have a certain set payday, right? You have net terms like net 14, meaning 14 days after the actual candidate is hired. If you don't get paid, if you don't get a check or an ACH or a wire on that date or like 2 days after that, here's the deal. First things first, stay cool. Be calm about it, be chill. Don't flip out. That's rule number one. Now, the way you really want to work this thing out is with your client. You want to do as much as possible to work it out so that you can get paid from your client by working with them, okay? Nothing better will come out of this other than diplomatically speaking with them on mano-a-mano terms based on your contract, based on your relationship with them, based on everything that you've done with them, talking to them about how they are late on their payment and why they need to pay you at that specific time. Listen, 99% of the time, it's not a malicious situation. Like they're not holding back the cash and not paying your agency 99% of the time. Now, 1% of the time it is, but 99% of the time it is generally just human error. Like somebody missed a date and they were out of the office and they had no idea they had to hit the ACH button or mail off that check to you or whatever it is, right? Or it's something else random, like they just totally misinterpreted the contract or didn't realize that that was supposed to go out at that time. Like it could be a billion things. It really doesn't matter, but 99% of the time it's not malicious. Like they're not out to get you. There is one super important rule that I always tell my students in our mentorship programs. Don't ever go legal unless it goes beyond 3 months. Okay, so let's just pretend that it does go beyond 3 months and you've tried with your client. You've literally talked to people on the phone. You've emailed people 100 times. You've literally gotten smacked in the face, zero response. You're hitting a brick wall and you're not getting anywhere by trying to work with your client on the solution to get paid. Okay, this time it's time to go legal. How do you do that, right? No, don't go out and do the first thing that I think you're thinking. Go and do not get an attorney, okay? Don't go pay $1,000 to $5,000 to go retain an attorney to deal with collecting $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. Don't do that, okay? There are far easier ways to do this without spending that much money. So if anyone's ever heard of Legal Shield, that is what you want to use. If you don't have it already, you probably should have it. It's about $75 a month. Sometimes I think you can get it for like $50 a month. But either way, $75 a month will literally basically retain you a law firm local to you that you can ping for pretty much anything whatsoever. Like they're retained for you. They'll send letters for you. They'll advise you. They'll review contracts for you. And in this situation, they will draft up what's called a demand letter. The demand letter, basically attached with the contract, will tell the client that you are demanding payment immediately based on the signature of the contract and the terms of the contract. So this is how you go legal. You don't go and go all flashy and crazy and obtain like a $5,000 retainer attorney. You don't need that, okay? We're so far from that yet at this point that it's such a waste. Legal Shield, get a demand letter, send it over to them, and get them scared enough to hopefully pay. I will tell you my own personal story, which is the worst of them that I've had ever, where I was 3 months past due with a client. They owed me about $15,000, not a huge amount of money, but it's a good chunk of change. And they definitely went past 3 months. So I did this. I continued to work with the HR woman who was continuously taking my calls, emailing me back and forth. Basically, she was handling things internally on my account, working with me, right? She knew that I was owed $15,000 and she was trying to figure it out. There was nobody else there but her to help me. So keep that in mind. Pro tip: find a champion inside the company that you can work with directly as a point of contact and keep a really good relationship with that person. You don't know what the company's going through. In my personal case, where I was owed $15,000, the company was going bankrupt. Their contracts were all getting pulled left and right. It was an aerospace manufacturing company, and they were literally losing money day after day after day. So I was their last priority. But this HR woman continued to work with me because she knew that I was absolutely going to get my money. So I did exactly what I explained earlier to do. I kept a cool head. I played it really smooth. I continued to talk to the HR woman, and eventually, after 3 months, I think it was about 3.5 months, she finally ran my ACH $15,000 payment, and I was good to go with that account. I didn't have to do anything legally. I didn't have to go anywhere else, but I just kept the course, right? So sometimes people flip out and go crazy and get nuts and get legal and do all this stuff right away. Don't do that. Don't be one of those people. Keep a cool head. Cooler heads always prevail. Cooler heads are going to make you money and get you paid in these situations where your client is not paying on time. At the end of the day, never let emotion get in front of you. Never let emotion take over in the business. In any space of the business, right? Whether it's getting paid late or whether it's working with a specific client or a specific candidate or whatever it is, never let it get emotional, right? You know how the best investors, the most successful people always talk about putting emotions to the side completely and only thinking strategically and logically, right? That's what you have to do. You only have to keep a cool head and think strategically and logically and lose all the emotion about it. Don't get pissed off because I'm not getting paid. Oh my God. It's all personal, right? It's not personal. It's business. Now, when I say to work with your client on getting paid after they're late, right? Remember to bring up continuously with them, number one, the contract that they've signed that says they will pay you on X date. It's very clear. So what you're going to want to do is continuously send late invoices, like literally every 3, 4, 5 days, send them a late invoice over and over and over again. You need to continuously do this to remind them that you're not going to stop. Show them that you are literally going to get your money no matter what. It's just a matter of when. So send them the contract. Attach an invoice that says late, marked in red, just like you see all the time, right? Put it up there and send that over to them in an email every 4 days or so. All right, there's one thing I definitely want to mention in this video, which is critical, and this is relationships with your clientele. Okay, if your client is late on payment and it just so happens to be 2 months, 2.5, 3 months, whatever it is, and let's just say it's a really good client, like a client that's made you over 6 figures in a matter of 1 year. Like that's a really good client, and there's a lot of future perspective of you making multiple 6 figures with them if you continue to work with them. Here's the conundrum. You really, really want to keep it cool because you don't want to send any crazy emails. You don't want to get nasty with the hiring manager or the accounting department. You want to keep it really cool with these guys because you want to continue the relationship. There are certain scenarios where it's a client where you absolutely want to just cease the relationship and you don't care. So at that point, you could pretty much say anything verbally with them on the phone, and you can chat with them about that and just say whatever because you need to get paid and just be gone. Sometimes, though, it's a client that's going to pay you over and over and over again, and it's just a one-time scenario where maybe there was some crazy misunderstanding. The CEO's out of town for like a month, and somebody didn't know what to do, and you're just not getting paid on time. But in those situations, you absolutely want to retain the relationship. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin the fact that you could make like $250,000 more if you just keep it cool. Now, I know I just mentioned something about sending nasty emails or calling somebody up and saying a bunch of nasty stuff. Here's the thing. These conversations go both ways, right? It's a two-way street. So remember that literally anything you write down in an email and send to them, right? That is going to be on record. There is a digital footprint for literally everything. You also don't know if they're recording your calls. Sometimes it's illegal in certain states. Sometimes it's legal. But honestly, who cares? They could be recording it either way. It doesn't matter. Basically, you don't want to put anything into an email, anything on the phone that's actually going to harm you in the situation that it does end up in actual court, like a U.S. court system situation where you're actually in litigation, in a lawsuit, trying to get your money and trying to get paid. You don't want to have anything where they can pull out Exhibit A where you dropped the F-bomb 10 times and you demanded your money in this way and that way and the other, and you said some heinous things about their company. Like, you don't want that, okay? So never do that. Be professional, right? Again, this is not personal. This is business. Now, here's what happens if you literally can't resolve this thing after like 3 months and 2 weeks and you're not getting paid and you're literally not getting a response whatsoever. The first thing that happens is not actually anything to do with an attorney or the court system. You go to an arbitrator, and in almost every single contract, it states at the bottom, everything, if there's a dispute on money or on policy or whatever happened in the deal, that everything is to go through arbitration through a certified arbitrator, which is basically kind of like an attorney, but they're not. They're pretty much like a middleman, kind of like a counselor between two parties, and they're there to be completely neutral. They're there to be basically somebody as a go-between to look at both sides of the situation and essentially help you two work it out together. So, for instance, if you actually can't work it out and they're not going to pay you, the arbitration is supposed to be a way to not get you to court so that you can handle the thing with your client together vis-a-vis having the arbitrator handle most of the things for you. And again, listen, you have a watertight contract. Let's hope, right? So with your watertight contract, you should have zero fear. Basically, your contract says we get paid on this specific date. They are late by like 3.5 months. With that being said, it's easy peasy. You need to get paid. So they will say, okay, you owe them money. Now, they can either choose to pay up and pay the money because they've been told to now, or not. If they don't, you have to go legal. And when I say legal, I mean, yes, attorneys and courts. Like I said before, you never want to end up in this situation because once attorneys and courts get involved, everybody loses. You're paying legal fees. They're paying legal fees. You're wasting so much time, energy, effort, and money on legal fees, like just all this BS. It's so garbage, right? You don't want to be there. You don't want to be in that situation. So what needs to happen is you need to file a simple, generally a small claims court litigation with them, a lawsuit. And by filing that, you'll take it to court. They will have to show up to court. If they don't show up to court, you basically win, right? And if they do, then you present the contract. The contract goes to the judge. Any judge with half a brain will take a look at the contract and see that it says Oh, you were supposed to get paid like 3.5 months ago, but you weren't. Yeah, it looks like you're owed the money. And then they will be legally bound to pay you the money, meaning there will actually be a lien set upon them, meaning that if they don't pay, like they'll literally go potentially to jail, or they will literally get things repossessed. Like it'll actually get real. Now, don't get me wrong. There are situations where there could be some outstanding factors. For instance, maybe somebody quit before the guarantee period, right? And you didn't replace that person within a reasonable time frame per your contract. And there's something outstanding about that. So maybe that's why they're not paying you right away. And that's a situation where, again, you should always try to handle that way before you end up in court, right? Or even arbitration. But if that's a situation, that could be the one thing that doesn't actually land in your favor if you actually file a lawsuit. Now, the bottom line here is basically just to make sure every contract you sign with a new client is air, water, anything tight, right? Meaning that you have absolutely every clause covered to where you're going to get paid on time and that it's written and they sign it, you sign it, everyone's in agreement, so that if it ends up in court, at the worst case scenario, which you never should be, you're going to win no matter what, right? Or arbitration, same thing. So that's number one, contract, right? Make sure that that is water airtight, like I said. Secondarily, just ensure that you're always on top of your game. Make sure that you're building the best relationships with the best clients, right? We always talk about good clients and bad clients, right? Don't work with these bad clients, because what's going to happen is if you do, you're going to end up in these scenarios more often than not and getting paid late. Now, it might not go to court, right? It might just be that you get paid like 3-4 weeks late, like a month late or whatever. That's not fun, right? But at the end of the day, you want more good clients than bad clients. You want good contracts. And these are the things that you need to do if your client does not pay you or refuses to pay you after 3 months and the legal route has to happen. But that's what to do if you're not getting paid by your client. All right. So I truly hope that you guys found some value in this video. If and when you get into this situation, which I absolutely hope you never do, this is what you have to do. So come back to this video when you do, but hopefully you don't. So anyways, if you got any value here, smash that like button, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. Also, join our Facebook group, Recruiter Empire, link in description of the video. We have 14,000 recruiters and entrepreneurs in the group, and we'd love to have you in there as well. I will see you guys next time.